Today from the family of Kara Nichols. That's because the man accused of killing her over 10 years ago was found guilty today, not on first-degree murder charges, but for felony manslaughter. Nichols disappeared from Colorado Springs in October of 2012. Her remains were found on a property in Black Forest in 2022. The El Paso County coroner testified in court that Nichols died from asphyxiation due to strangulation. News 5's Maggie Bryan joins us in studio with more on the family's reaction. And Maggie, they say this is not the verdict they wanted.
Allison, Kara's family is calling this verdict a tragedy for the whole city, that the person they say is a cold-blooded killer will one day be back on the streets.
We are devastated at this verdict. Absolutely devastated. Dumbfounded. We do not understand it.
The parents of Kara Nichols speaking out just hours after a jury announced the verdict for the man who killed their 19-year-old daughter.
Our daughter is dead. She was 19 years old, murdered by a 37-year-old sex criminal.
The defendant was charged with first-degree murder. The jury ultimately convicted him of manslaughter, a lower-level felony. Kara's family says they were ready for the first-degree conviction to come down today.
Apparently in this county, vulnerable citizens are allowed to be murdered with no consequences.
We're all traumatized again. Do I think this is a miscarriage of justice? It is.
Friends of Kara's say during the trial, the defense acted with a lack of respect for human life.
We've constantly seen them degrade Kara. We've constantly seen these defense attorneys laugh and joke with their client.
She was just treated as garbage.
Kara's parents say the justice system failed their little girl.
You did wrong. This murderer will be back out on your streets, misbehaving and murdering again very, very soon.
Moving on, her loved ones say they will remember Kara as a girl who had big dreams that were cut short.
He strangled the light out of my friend, who had so much light to give.
A sentencing hearing has not been scheduled yet. Felony manslaughter is a Class 4 felony, which typically carries a sentence of up to 6 years in prison. We do know Hollendorfer is set to appear in court next month for what's called a habitual criminal hearing. That hearing could have an impact on the severity of his sentence. Allison.
Maggie, thank you. Let's walk you through the timeline of this case that led us to today's conviction. October 14th, 2012, Paul Nichols reported his daughter Kara missing. This was a few days after her brother had been trying to get a hold of her. Kara's roommates said they hadn't seen her since she said she was going to Denver on October 9th. A missing person alert was issued. A detective with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office determined in early 2013 Kara had been placing ads to be an escort. Through phone records, it led detectives to Joel Hollendorfer. Hollendorfer told detectives he was seeking escort services, but he did not meet with Kara. In 2014, detectives obtained a search warrant for Hollendorfer's parents' home. That's where they found the last activity from Kara's phone. Hollendorfer's mom pointed out places on the property where animals had been buried. One area was excavated, and no remains were found.
Cold case review was recently being conducted on this case, as we do with all our cold cases.
Fast forward to 2022. FBI agents interviewed Hollendorfer's ex-wife, Christina, who they say they had been trying to get a hold of in the beginning of the investigation. The ex-wife told agents Hollendorfer admitted to her he accidentally killed an escort and buried her body on top of an old horse grave on his parents' property. In February 2022, Hollendorfer was arrested for a different charge. Detectives asked him questions about the Nichols case. He still denied meeting Kara and being responsible for her death. Detectives asked him about a spot on his parents' property. Hollendorfer's mother identified that spot as where her favorite horse had been buried. FBI agents obtained a search warrant for the property again, and this time, human remains were found. They were identified as Kara Nichols. Hollendorfer was then arrested for her death.